The Live Financially Savvy podcast was created by Atia, the savvy accountant. She is a CPA, CA, and certified financial educator instructor. She has a passion for building generational wealth and wants to help you and others to do the same. She's created the podcast to help others live financially savvy. Lower your debt and build your net worth using techniques you learned here from others doing amazing things to live financially savvy.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Live Financially Savvy. I'm your host, Atia, aka the Savvy Accountant, and I just wanted to thank you for listening. Today's episode, if you're listening live, is a special episode because it's my birthday. So I wanted to save this episode for today specifically because as it's my birthday, I think it's pretty fitting to talk about life insurance. And I think that building generational wealth, one of the key components is having a life insurance policy that is going to pass down to the next generation that's going to actually benefit them. I know life insurance is a topic that a lot of people don't want to talk about. Some people tend to not see the benefit because, let's be honest, it's not something that you're going to benefit from per se. It's basically something that you're considering to do now because it's going to be for when you pass on, unfortunately. I don't know if it's ironically or not, but I thought I wanted to deal with life insurance on my birthday. For those who know me, I'm a birthday celebrator. I love birthdays. I love celebrating birthdays. I love celebrating my own birthday. I love getting older. I love the process of learning along the way. My family is not one of those families that hides their age or anything like that. So we celebrate birthdays throughout my entire family. People, like my grandparents, have birthday parties all the time. My mom has birthday parties celebrating her birthdays. So it's just something I was born into, and so I love it. So I celebrate my birthdays pretty hard. So I wanted to talk about life insurance on the podcast on my birthday. If you guys know me, you know that 4 is my favorite number. So this episode, kind of intentionally, is my 4th guest, and she falls on my birthday. So it's pretty special. I just wanted to tell you guys a little bit about Ebony. So I'm going to be interviewing Ebony Ruffin of Ruffin Consulting Services, and she's a licensed life insurance agent. To read a little bit about her story, then we'll get into the podcast. I want you guys to know that you can follow me on social media at The Savvy Accountant, or you can visit livefinanciallysavvy.com for all the episodes. I'm going to have the episode show notes up, and you guys can reach out to Ebony, and she will get your life insurance needs taken care of. We actually met on social media, and we've kind of become sister friends in real life. And so I'm excited to interview her for this podcast and just get the message of life insurance out there, because I definitely think it's very important and we need to discuss it while we're here so that our loved ones aren't left with trying to figure out how to fund our death, unfortunately. And there's also a lot of benefits that Ebony's going to get into, that it's not just leaving a policy. There's some living benefits that you can benefit from. And it's just a great way to set our next generation up for having wealth and not starting off on a negative foot, because we sometimes tend to statistically are starting off at a lower level than some of our counterparts. And so I definitely think that life insurance is one way to get the ball rolling to build generational wealth for the generation after us. So today I'm going to be talking to Ebony Ruffin. She's a native of Montgomery, Alabama. She's a child of a mother who was active duty military with the United States Army. So Ebony experienced the opportunity to travel the world. Throughout this experience, she was taught and learned early in life the importance of saving and securing the right financial products. Her relationship with money and goals started from an early age through childhood conversations, chores, and learning the power of compounding interest. Ebony's passion for finance led to her degree in Bachelor of Science, Business Administration with a major in finance from Auburn University and a Master of Business Administration in International Business from Mercer University. Throughout her career, she's led finance and accounting departments in various industries such as credit supervisor, accounting manager, Director of Finance, and 401k plan administrator. She continues to serve her greater purpose in life of creating financial awareness through her business consulting firm, Ruffin Consulting Services. She basically offers effective business solutions to business owners and their families through a suite of financial solutions consisting of business life insurance protection, retirement planning services, living benefits, annuities, and key person insurance. Ebony also launched Girl Get Your Life. Basically, that guide is to educate and empower families across the globe to protect their most valuable asset, their life. So without further ado, I'm going to get into the podcast, and I'm going to let you guys hear all the very interesting, knowledgeable stuff that Ebony has to say on life insurance. So thank you so much, Ebony, for joining. I just wanted to thank you in advance for being a guest on the podcast. And while I read your bio, you're a very impressive bio, I want you to introduce yourself to the audience so that they hear about you from you.
Hi, Atia. Thank you so much for having me as a guest on your podcast, and congratulations to you on this amazing launch. My name is Ebony Ruffin. I'm the founder of Ruffin Consulting Services, where I educate and empower business owners and family members to obtain life insurance. And I've also curated the #1 life insurance movement called Girl Get Your Life.
Awesome. Since you started off with Girl Get Your Life, why don't we start there? So why don't you tell everybody what Girl Get Your Life is about?
Absolutely. Originally, I started under Ruffin Consulting Services, and my primary goal and focus was providing educational material on life insurance. But what I found is most people needed something to connect with. So they didn't just want an informative post about life insurance, but they wanted an experience. So I said, well, I'm going to maintain Ruffin Consulting Services, but let me create an experience where women can feel a connection to it. So Girl Get Your Life is what I came up with. The goal is to educate and empower women all across the globe to protect their most valuable asset, which is their life. And this provides curated video content. We have the Girl Get Your Life guide, which is an amazing guide to help women walk into their life insurance appointment with confidence. So they're educated, they know what to expect, and they have all of their information in order before the appointment.
Awesome. So I can attest that guide is amazing. I myself have one and I love it. I love the leather binding. Everything about it is fabulous, and the information in it is valuable. And so speaking of education on life insurance, I personally believe that building generational wealth, life insurance is one of the most important ways to do so. And I feel like our community especially just doesn't have the education they need. So I wanted to know, when you decided to create Girl Get Your Life, did you realize that our community was lacking, or was it something that you thought you should put out there to give them more information?
So that answer is actually twofold. It's not necessarily that I thought our community was lacking, but what I did notice is from the plethora of appointments that I've had with individuals, most people get nervous and they procrastinate because they feel somewhat judged when they're going through the life insurance appointment process. And part of that is they feel that they don't have all of their information in order. They don't know what to expect. A lot of people are embarrassed to say they haven't had a physical or seen their primary care physician in years. So really the need for that came from having appointments, and appointments that didn't necessarily follow through with a close or sell because the potential clients didn't have all of their information. And I think from a lot of times people get embarrassed and they don't want to follow up, or they don't want to seem like they have it together. So I provided this solution so that people can walk into an appointment with confidence.
That makes so much sense. I think that would help people, because I do believe that the lack of education creates embarrassment. You giving them that extra foot to let them know what they're walking to the appointment with is like invaluable. What are some myths that you've uncovered that people have about life insurance?
Okay, so this is actually the great part that I enjoy answering. Myths. Most people think, I'm young, I'm not dying anytime soon, I don't have children, why would I spend my money on life insurance? Which is, you should definitely think the opposite way. So if you're young, that is the most important time that you can get life insurance, because ideally you're healthy. So your health and your age puts you at a lower risk class, which means you can purchase a larger death benefit for a lower premium amount. Makes sense? If you're waiting until you're in your late 30s, early 40s, 50s, because now you're wanting to take life a little bit more serious, you have a spouse, you have children, you're also in a higher risk class, you're older, by then you've probably developed health problems. So now you're paying a higher premium. So one myth is, I don't need life insurance because I'm young and I'm not dying anytime soon.
So what do you do to tackle those myths? Like, how do you get people to realize that those are myths? What are some of the techniques that you put out there to let people realize how important having life insurance is?
I definitely share my own personal testimony. When I went off to undergrad, the first thing that my parents did for me was get me a life insurance policy. Now, at that time, I did not comprehend the importance of it because I was much younger myself and didn't understand like why I needed to go off to college with a life insurance policy. But as I got older and I began to receive these statements in mail, I actually had cash value that accumulated over a period of time. So this is money that was growing in a sub account for me through my life insurance policy that I had no idea about. So talk about, coming upon a savings account that you didn't know anything about. And I'm licensed and I'm also appointed with the National Life Group. And so I have a separate life insurance policy with National Life Group, which I got at a later age in life. And so the premium that I pay on that policy, I'm paying a little bit more because I got it later in life. But I look at the premium that's still being paid on the policy that was taken out on me when I went to college. And it's little to no money, but the cash value savings definitely provides a return on investment.
So I think that brings up an interesting point. I don't think many people realize that having life insurance can give you benefits today. Because I know that a lot of people think life insurance is something that I'm never going to get the benefit of, because technically it's for the people that you leave behind. So the fact that they can get a benefit today, I think that's a bonus. And I believe that that would help a lot of people actually sign up for life insurance.
Absolutely. So there are actually two components of life insurance that benefit you while you're living. The first component is actually living benefits. So living benefits allows the person that's insured on the policy to have access to the death benefit while they're living if they're diagnosed with a terminal, critical, or chronic illness. So most importantly, people become ill before they die, right? And a lot of times when they become ill, they face financial hardships because of medical bills. So having access to your death benefit while you're alive through your life insurance policy is just another way to have a stream of income while you're ill to help offset some of those expenses. Another component of life insurance that allows you to use it while you're living is definitely the cash value. And so the cash value is only available for permanent policies, not term policies. And the cash value allows you to have this sub account that where money is accumulating for you. You can withdraw the money from the account by way of a policy loan, and you don't have to use it for a specific category. It can be for whatever you need in your life. So that's definitely two components of life insurance that the insured can use while they're living.
Great, thank you. So you brought up term versus permanent. I think that's a great segue to discuss. Can you explain what the difference is between the two?
Term, I try to explain to people, is more like when you're renting an apartment or you're renting a home. You don't necessarily own it, and at the end of the term, which could be 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, you have to renew the policy and your premium can increase. So it's the same way with renting an apartment. You may have rent for 12 to 15 months. At the end of that term, you have to renew your contract, and more than likely, your payments will increase just based on the market rate. But that's not necessarily such a bad thing. If most people follow Dave Ramsey and Susie Orman, and they're very big on term policies. They like to provide advice that says, purchase a term policy for the death benefit that you need and take the difference between the cost of a term policy and a permanent policy and invest it in the market. So the other type of life insurance is permanent life insurance. And examples of that would be like whole life, indexed universal life, where you have the policy for as long as you're living. And whatever you pay now as your premium will be your same premium amount 10 years from now, 15 years from now, 20 years from now, as long as you have the policy. So there's no time period that you have to renew a permanent policy. It is your premium for as long as you have the policy. And with the permanent policy, you have that cash value account that we talked about earlier.
Great. So you mentioned some of the gurus, Ramsey and Orman. Is there a time or a specific situation that you recommend term over permanent for one of your clients?
Well, first I assess exactly what the client's life insurance needs are. So a big factor that plays into that is budget, as well as, do you really need a cash value account? Most people that I've been working with, they already have their financial plan in place, and they're adding life insurance as a component to their financial plan. So they're not necessarily focused on the need for cash value accumulation, but they understand the need for life insurance. Then I also have clients that I work with that they want the full package together. They understand the concept of taking the difference between the cost for term and permanent and investing it in the market, but they like that peace of mind of they're paying one premium, they don't have to renew it, it gives them some cash value savings, and it provides them with a permanent life insurance policy that they don't have to renew, 10 years, 15 or 20 years later. So it's definitely based on their specific life insurance needs. I personally have 2 permanent policies. That's just what I prefer, and the premiums were affordable for me, so I decided to go with permanent policies.
Okay, that makes sense. I know for myself, I lean towards permanent, but I like to get the opinion of people who lean towards term. So
yes, absolutely.
As far as people getting life insurance, and you said that they do it when they are dealing with like their financial plan, do you ever have a conversation with your clients on whether they should be taking care of debt versus getting life insurance? Is this ever something that comes up, or are you just dealing with people who are pretty far along in their financial plan and so they have already taken care of getting their debt under control? Is this ever something that comes up with your clients?
It's definitely the latter of the two. So I'm primarily focused on life insurance and making sure that families and business owners are protecting, their most valuable asset. We do look at their net worth, which is their assets and liabilities. And I provide tips and information on managing their debt, but my focus isn't necessarily debt. So when I work with clients, they're coming to me because they already have a need for life insurance. They want it. They want to get a quote, and they're pretty much ready to purchase.
Okay, that makes sense. Is there anything else that you think that would benefit the listeners from learning about life insurance?
Oh, yes, absolutely. So I would say when you're on the market and you're looking for life insurance, don't feel like you need to go with the first agent that you work with. Like anything else, I always recommend getting quotes where you can compare, but make sure you're comparing the same type of product. Another piece of information I like to share with people is just how we have credit ratings as individuals. So we have a credit score and credit report with TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. The same applies for life insurance companies. So say, for example, National Life Group is the company that I'm appointed with. They also have a financial strength rating score with S&P, Standard & Poor's, and Moody's. So I recommend when a person is shopping for life insurance, they want to know and understand the financial stability of the company that's backing their insurance policy. So ask your agent, what's the financial rating of that company. The next thing I definitely recommend is asking for feedback from current clients. Life insurance is an industry where someone could pop up on the market and be an agent for, a year, and then in another year they've moved on to something else. So you want to make sure you're working with an agent that's truly committed to the industry and just isn't doing it as something to do for now for additional income. So that's very important, because your agent is almost like your partner for life. Anytime you have life changes, you're going to want to work with your agent to make sure that your policy is being updated, that you have adequate insurance, that you're not underinsured. So make sure you have someone that is truly vested in life insurance and keeping up with the changes in the market as well.
Those are great points for people to look for, especially if they don't know, if it's like their first time looking for life insurance in the market. You said that your parents got you life insurance when you were going to college. So do you think that 18 is a good age for parents and their children to start talking about life insurance?
I actually think earlier than that. I actually have clients that have policies on their children as soon as they're born. Because imagine the cost of insurance on a newborn is super cheap and affordable, and they could purchase a large death benefit. So I would say, as soon as possible, because death is something that isn't focused on a specific age. It can happen to anyone at any time. And in addition to that, if we go back to the topic of the benefits of insurance while you're living benefits is another great reason that you shouldn't just focus on the age with life insurance, but more of the benefits to the insured while they're living. So a newborn, an 18-year-old, a 30-year-old can face any type of terminal, critical, or chronic illness at any time that could cause a financial hardship for the family that's covering the medical bills. And if you seek life insurance with living benefits, then at least you have additional income to help you offset expenses during those times.
That's actually a great point. I like to consider myself like pretty knowledgeable in the financial area. I have policies for my children, but I never really thought about it like getting them a permanent policy. Like I believe that there are two policies are term, and it was just like a little bit amounts because I got that through my job. And it wasn't a big cost, but I'm actually going to look into for that cash value for them. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. And actually, while listening to your response, you touched on another great topic, which is life insurance through your employer, which is another very important aspect that I talk to people about. So life insurance through your employer is while you are employed. And it's usually for a very small amount. It's typically a term policy between $50,000 and $75,000. And if you're at an executive level for the company, they may give you a little bit more based on your comp or your salary. So imagine if you start working with a company in your 20s or 30s and you think you have the best benefits in the world and you're with this company, 10, 15 years. That typically doesn't happen anymore, but just as an example. And you're laid off or you have to come out of the workforce for whatever reason. Now you're on the market looking for life insurance when you're older in life, when you have experienced probably more health conditions. And so your cost of premium is going to be very high. So I always encourage people that not to just settle for the life insurance offered through an employer, but definitely take it as a bonus, but seek your own life insurance coverage outside of an employer. And that concept is no different than retirement planning. Like, of course, you will utilize the 401k available through your employer, but that won't be your only tool to planning for retirement.
That's like a perfect example of what you should be doing, using the benefits that you are offered at your job, but also going into the market and doing what you need to do on your own. Because like you said, you can have perfect benefits, but if you somehow lose your job, you now have no life insurance.
Absolutely. Yes.
Thank you for that. Thank you for bringing that up. So do you have anything on the horizon that you're working on that you want to talk to the audience about?
So something that's been coming to me lately is definitely expanding the Girl Get Your Life movement. I definitely can see it as a movement that will continue to make an impact with women across the globe. So I want to be intentional with spreading that movement and getting more women behind it. I've started that process with the Girl Get Your Life Guide, which was me definitely stepping out and taking a risk. You know, anytime you launch a product to the market, you're always nervous about the feedback that you'll get and will it serve the purpose that you intended it to serve. So now I think it's time for me to expand beyond the Girl Get Your Life Guide and actually look at opportunities to speak with more people in person. So whether it's at boot camps or women empowerment workshops, actually getting out more in person and connecting with my market and growing the brand, whether it's an apparel line. You know, as women, we love t-shirts. So I have a few concepts in mind to go along with the entire brand. So to answer that question, definitely expanding the Girl Get Your Life movement.
Awesome. And I look forward to you expanding it. I know that it's doing wonderful work. You're like a gem on social media. I think everybody that follows you learns something and you can see it in the responses to your questions. So I think you're doing a great job.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I actually like to end asking my guest what Live Financially Savvy means to you. Can you tell us what Live Financially Savvy means to you?
Oh, absolutely. This is awesome because I think you actually had a post about this and I shared feedback on there as well. So living financially savvy to me means having the education and resources to make empowered financial decisions without any fear.
Awesome. I love that.
Yes, girl.
I love how you wrap that together because like my motto is I want to take the fear out of money that people have and turn that into love. So I love that you just mentioned fear in your meaning.
Fearless.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much. Is there anything that you wanted to add?
I think I would just like to close it out by encouraging everyone to seek some type of life insurance coverage. I think a lot of times people are intimidated or they seem to can't think that they can afford it, but you never know until you get a quote and see what you could start off with. So the point is getting a quote and seeing what you can afford and going from there. But there's no reason why we should have insurance on our cell phones, our cars, and our homes and not insure our most valuable asset, which is our life.
That is a perfect way to end. I love that. And I agree that starting small is still starting. So I believe that they should all get quotes, little amounts at a time, because I believe starting small makes you start and then it just progresses from there. So thank you so much, Ebony, for joining me on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me and congratulations for stepping out on this journey and actually starting your own podcast.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.